And welcome into Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. It is July 28th, 2019. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. We got a lot to talk about today. We're wrapping up our top five, bottom five. We're getting to the end of those position groups in the NFL. Today we'll be going over the quarterback. That will only leave us with specialists to go through next week. Then I kind of feel like maybe I'll take all of the rankings we've done through the position groups and come with a overall where your team ranks 1 through 32 list based off of these rankings we've got over the last several weeks through the position groups. The Detroit Lions are making some moves. We'll talk about what they've got going on there. The Spurs have a new coach. We've got the biggest what-ifs in sports history, whether it be because they've got injury or retired early. Mostly on the injury side. The retired early is a little different. That was a choice to walk away from the game. But some of these players who have had so many injuries over the years that their careers left all the fans, left all of us just thinking, what if? What if they would have stayed healthy? What would their numbers have been? What kind of success? How many championships could they have won? Would they have had an effect on the game? A lot of players like that. We've got another one who retired this week in baseball, so we're going to talk about some of those guys, and then just some other stories that are coming out, including some news that just came out about A.J. Green. So let's jump into our top five, bottom five quarterback groups for the NFL based on my rankings. And each and every week I've explained to you how I go about ranking these quarterbacks, these position groups. This week, the quarterbacks. So I have each division. Each division has 4 teams. You get a ranking 1 through 4 in each category. Today we have starting quarterback and your backup quarterback group. Okay, maybe you have more than one backup quarterback. Maybe you've got some options at backup quarterback right now. Depending on how that breaks out, I rank you in your division 1 through 4. I do that for each of the 8 divisions. That gives me a group of 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. 8 teams in each group. I then take the 1s, I rank them 1 through 8. I take the 2s, 9 through 16, the 3s, 17 through 24, and the 4s are 25 through 32. Just one ranking system. There's many ranking systems out there. A lot of them fall on analytics. Some of them fall on what the analytic group thinks should be happening on each and every play, and that's how they rank people out. Some it's just, objective. Some of it is subjective. Some of people do it based on who they like more, fans, whatever. This is how I feel these divisions, these teams break out into their groups in the NFL. Each and every week, we start with the NFC side. We start with the NFC North. In the NFC North, I have Green Bay and I'm a Lions fan. It's on record. I'm out there, proud Lions fan, lifelong Lions fan, going on 30 years now. I live in Denver, so I root for the Broncos as well, but I'm a Lions fan. Let me get that out there. I have been fair throughout this whole process. I think I've got Green Bay with the best starting quarterback in the division. I will take Matthew Stafford after that before Kirk Cousins or Mitchell Trubisky. That's a pretty easy one, I feel like. As far as the depth, you got to give it to Chicago. Chase Daniel, his experience being with Andy Reid and in that system and what he can offer to a Mitchell Trubisky, what he can come in and he can spell you for 2 or 3 games. You're not going to worry about, if Trubisky's down and out for a game, 2, 3, that Chase Daniel, there's going to be a big drop-off. Will there be some drop-off? Sure. He didn't beat Trubisky out, but it's not devastating. I'll give it to the Lions second in that category as well because of Tom Savage. Green Bay's Deshaun Kaiser is a little unproven. And in Minnesota with Kyle Sloter, Sean Mannion, and the rookie Jake Browning, you just don't know quite what's there yet. I know Sean Mannion was a free agent looker. Some teams looked at bringing him in. I know Mark Schlereth thought maybe he'd be a good fit coming in to compete for a job here in Denver. So I've got Green Bay 1, Detroit 2, Chicago 3, and Minnesota with the worst quarterback group in the NFC North. In the NFC South, this one was easy for me. New Orleans has the best starting quarterback and the best backup group. You put Teddy Bridgewater, you have J.T. Barrett, you have Taysom Hill, who's kind of the slash player for them right now. They're first in the division, followed by Carolina, Atlanta, and Tampa Bay. In the NFC East, I will take Philadelphia. Carson Wentz is the best starting quarterback in the division. Philadelphia has I would say the third best backup group with Sudfeld, Clayton Thorson, the rookie, and Cody Kessler. I like that a little bit less than Daniel Jones and Kyle Lauletta. Dwayne Haskins and Colt McCoy in Washington I will take as the best backup group in the NFC East. So Philadelphia first, the Giants second, Washington third, and I have Dallas coming in fourth. Dak I have as my third best starter in the division, and I don't see much in backup as far as Cooper Rush and Mike White go for Dallas. NFC West, I will take Russell Wilson. That's a pretty easy one as the best quarterback in the division starting-wise. Then I'll take Jared Goff because he's got a little more under his belt, a little more experience, more win-loss record, made it to an NFC Championship game. The overhyped Jimmy Garoppolo third, and Kyler Murray, because he's a rookie and he's done nothing, has to come in fourth for Arizona in that division. I will, however, give San Francisco the nod for the best backup group with C.J. Beathard, Nick Mullins, and Wilton Spate. They're going to have some quality coming out of there. Brett Hundley for Arizona second, Blake Bortles third because of experience, and Geno Smith and Paxton Lynch are just garbage for Seattle. Moving to the AFC side, AFC North, Pittsburgh will get the nod for the best quarterback in the division with Ben Roethlisberger. I'll take Cleveland second, Baltimore third, and Cincinnati fourth right now, as Andy Dalton he plateaued a couple seasons ago. We haven't seen him be able to regain the form. The offense is hurting. They don't have an identity right now, and they lose another player for a couple months today. Best backup I'll go Cleveland with Drew Stanton. He's got starting experience. He's won games. He's tough. I'll take Baltimore second with RG3 and Tracy McSorley, just because McSorley, he's going to give you the option of running some different kind of offensive plays coming out of Penn State. We saw what he was able to do there. RG3 blends well with Lamar Jackson. I'll take Pittsburgh third with Mason Rudolph and Joshua Dobbs. Cincinnati, again, fourth in that. So overall, in the AFC North, I'll take Cleveland with the best overall group, Pittsburgh second, Baltimore third, and Cincinnati fourth. Pittsburgh does have the better starter, though. In the South, I've got Indianapolis first, Houston second, Jacksonville third, and Tennessee fourth. Really, Indianapolis is easy with that one. Andrew Luck is the best overall quarterback in the division, and I still think Chad Kelly can play, and Jacoby Brissett there for the backup group. Jacksonville and Tennessee at 3 and 4. That really came down to their backup group difference there. And really their starters. I'm giving Nick Foles the nod over Marcus Mariota. Mariota really hasn't done enough to this point in his career, to really establish himself in any other way but the fourth best quarterback in that division behind Andrew Luck, Deshaun Watson, and Nick Foles. So overall, Indianapolis, Houston, Jacksonville, Tennessee coming in fourth. In the AFC East division, okay, this is one that was kind of easy. New England, followed by the Jets, Sam Darnold, followed by Josh Rosen, followed by Josh Allen. I know Josh Allen had more splash plays than Josh Rosen last year, but that style of offense will give Josh Allen a very short career trying to hurdle players as a 6'5" quarterback, always having to break down and run. Buffalo does look to have gotten better in the offseason, so this could easily change, and Josh Rosen could drop out with as pitiful as Miami's roster is right now. But right now, I will give Josh Rosen the nod over Josh Allen as the third best quarterback in the division. And Sam Darnold, he established himself a little bit more, I feel, than both of these guys last year, showing that he can play from the pocket, and he's more adept right now to playing the NFL game. And then there's just no question, New England is the best starting quarterback with Tom Brady. And then their backup group, I have their backup group as third with Brian Hoyer, Danny Etling, and Jared Stidham, the rookie out of Auburn. But Tom Brady puts them over the top as far as that goes. And then that leaves us with the AFC West, where we have a lot of good quarterbacks. Joe Flacco, he's won the Super Bowl. We've heard the narrative. He's Super Bowl MVP, down year in Baltimore, resurgence in Denver. I personally don't see that. I think Flacco has always been about an average quarterback in the NFL, a middle-of-the-road type starter. Not real good, not real bad, but he'll get it done. I don't think he deserved the Super Bowl MVP. I think that was Jimmy Smith's. I think they got that wrong. And really, without that power outage, Baltimore doesn't even win that game, and we're not talking about Joe Flacco as a Super Bowl MVP at all. In fact, if Denver just plays defense for one play in the AFC Championship game, we're still not talking about Joe Flacco as a Super Bowl MVP. That being said, there's a lot of competition. Derek Carr was once promising quarterback. We thought he was an MVP candidate. He ended up going through the broken leg. He ended up going through the broken back. Last year wasn't so great. New coaches coming in this year, flood the team with some different talent, completely different makeup. We'll see what Derek Carr can do there in Oakland. Then you've got Phillip Rivers, and you've got last year's MVP and Patrick Mahomes, and all of the exciting offense that's going on there in Kansas City. I'll take Phillip Rivers as the best quarterback in the division. He may not be as exciting as Patrick Mahomes, but his knowledge and his experience over Patrick Mahomes' skill level, I'll take that any day of the week over a guy who's gotten lucky with some throws that shouldn't be made and at some point will cost him. So I got Patrick Mahomes second. I'll give Joe Flacco third, and Derek Carr right now has to come in fourth because I think he's got a lot to prove. His best season was under Bill Musgrave. He hasn't been the same quarterback without. I will give the Chargers also the best backup group with Tyrod Taylor and Cardale Jones. I'll give Chad Henne in Kansas City the second because of his experience. Kevin Hogan, Drew Lock, Brett Rippon in Denver third, and Oakland again with Mike Glennon and Nate Peterman, who have proven they cannot play on the NFL level, as the worst backup group in the AFC West. Overall rankings for the division, Chargers, KC, Denver, Oakland, pretty much the same order there. So those are the 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s breakdown for each division. Last week we started from the bottom, worked our way to the top. Today we'll work our way from the top, work our way to the bottom. My overall number one best quarterback group in the NFL. These are the top 5. Number 1, New Orleans Saints. Number 2, LA Chargers. Number 3, Indianapolis Colts. Number 4, Cleveland Browns. Number 5, New England Patriots. If you notice, all of those teams have a quality starter. Cleveland slips in there a little bit because of hype. I do have high expectations for Baker Mayfield and that offense there in Cleveland. He's got the weapons. He's got the moxie. He's got the ability to play. I think Freddie Kitchens is going to give him an offense that utilizes all of those skill sets. He's got a running game. He's got a young, hungry team. So Cleveland, a lot of high expectations right now. New England, they still make it in, not because of their backup group so much, but because it's Tom Brady. Indianapolis, pretty balanced on both sides with what they have there, bringing in Chad Kelly, having Jacoby Brissett. Chargers, same thing. New Orleans, same thing there. But I'll take New Orleans situation with the Teddy Bridgewater over Tyrod Taylor in L.A. 6 through 10, rounding out the top 10, we have Green Bay, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Kansas City, and Detroit. 11 through 20, Pittsburgh, Houston, the Giants, the Jets, Seattle, Carolina, Atlanta, the Rams, and Chicago, followed by Washington at 20. 21 through 27, just before we get into our top 5, we have Baltimore, Miami, Denver, Jacksonville, Arizona, Minnesota, Dallas. Bottom 5. At 28, I have Tennessee. 29, Buffalo. 30, Oakland. 31, Tampa Bay. And 32, worst quarterback group situation in the NFL, the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this is not how I would rank it out if I was just doing the top 32 quarterbacks. It would not be the same order. But based on the ranking system I decided to use and put together for this group assignment of D-line, linebackers, secondary, O-line, receiving core, running back group, and now quarterbacks, this is the order the teams come out for me. For instance, Atlanta at 17. Matt Ryan, in my opinion, is a better starting quarterback than Sam Darnold for the Jets at 14. But I like the Jets' backup situation a little bit better, so they rank out a little bit higher. Detroit coming in at 10. Right behind Kansas City, who a lot of people would right now, especially with the hype train, would say, oh, Patrick Mahomes is so much better than Matthew Stafford. Well, Detroit has a better backup situation. So in this ranking system, which is different than everybody else's, which is different than yours, which is half the fun of all of these lists, like I keep saying, this is just kind of how they broke out. So we'll do punters, kickers, long snappers, and let's just throw return men in there. We'll get all of the specialists in next week's group. It's fun. It's interesting. Even after I've done my rankings each and every week, I look at them and go, wow, I totally, if I would have done this different, would not have had this group above that group or this team above that team. But you set a system, you use that system, and this is how it plays out. You're going to see similar things with the systems the pundits do on NFL.com and ESPN and Fox Sports and Barstool and all these other entities that are out there. They have to come up with the system. What tools, what variables are we going to use to rank this out, to come up with our topic of discussion? Now, they're not always as forefront as I am. And I know my way is really unscientific and just kind of has a lot of loose holes in it. Because you could have a division where all the quarterbacks, for instance, are super strong, and you're ranking a team in the group of fours as one of the fourth, they're the fourth best team in each division, who actually that fourth best team in, say, one Division A is better than all four quarterbacks in Division D. But you have to have some kind of guidelines, and that's what we're going with this year for this one. I'm sure next year, as I reapproach this in the offseason, I'll change it to something else. A lot of things also changing right now in Detroit. I got to say, the more and more they build this team, the more and more I'm letting hope, optimism instead of realism creep back in to my fandom. The cutting of Theo Riddick this week, you don't necessarily want to see a player of his caliber go, but face it, last season he was misused, underused. He's suffered from injuries the past couple of seasons, and I wish him the best moving forward. I hear he's got possibly a visit set up with New Orleans. That would be a great fit, adding him in there and letting him just be a weapon here and there on that offense. And with that, Detroit was able to bring in, who happened to be cut this week by Green Bay, Mike Daniels. Now, maybe, Mike Daniels' best season is behind him. A couple years ago, he was a beast. He's had some injuries, played on some bad defenses. Other talent around him has dropped. The Muhammad Wilkerson experiment in Green Bay was a bust. I like Mike Daniels as a player. I think he can play some inside. I think he can play some outside. I think he's a football player. He's not ever going to be the best defensive tackle or the best 3-4 defensive end in the NFL, but he is a football player. He's a tough guy. He's going to bring his work pail. He's going to bring his work hat, and he's going to go to work each and every day. And you're now adding Mike Daniels to a group for Detroit who's brought in the rookie Bryant this year, who brought in Trey Flowers as a free agent, who had Ashawn Robinson, who had Deshaun Hand, who has Snacks. We've got a rotation on that defensive line now that's going to be helping out the young back end, who's going to help those linebackers kind of fly around and make plays. You bring in the rookie from Arizona. We've got a lot of big guys. It's going to be hard to run on this defensive line for the Detroit Lions. If you're planning on coming in and you're planning on running, you better be able to outrun us to the edge. Because you're not running up the middle on this team. We've got too many big guys. We've got too many run stuffers. We've got penetrators from the inside out now. Nobody, again, you don't have that top quality name, that top flight name that's going to go, oh, wow, there's a Von Miller, there's a Khalil Mack, there's, fill in the blank. We've got a team full of football players. It's a solid team. And for a couple seasons now, I've been dogging out the Lions and Bob Quinn on how they're building it because I don't see the plan. Well, the plan is let's make this team as solid as possible to where our first, second, third, it doesn't matter who's in. We're not going to hurt. We're not going to take a step back on the field. And we're also going to, in that time period, try and get as many top quality players as we can. As many Matthew Staffords, as many Kenny Galladays, as many Snacks and Slays and guys of this nature that we can get in the door. So I'm starting to come around. I might be getting ready to burn myself. I might be setting myself up for more heartache. But I'm starting to come around on what the Lions are doing. I'm a defensive guy. I like the signing of Mike Daniels. I like the fact that he picked Detroit not because they offered him the best contract, not because they offered him the most money, but because he wanted to play the Green Bay Packers twice a year. If I'm leaving Green Bay, that's where I've been. I want to go against you twice a year if you're getting rid of me. I want to show you twice a year what you let go. So he's coming with a chip on his shoulder. I hope he has a great season. It's a one-year deal they bring him in on. $7 million guaranteed, $9 million total. It's going to be great. I think it's going to be great. It's going to be as great as the San Antonio Spurs' new assistant coach. Popovich said something to the effect this week, and I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing here. I spent 2 decades being his assistant. Now it's his turn. And in that, he is referencing Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is coming back to be assistant coach for the San Antonio Spurs. I'm not exactly sure what he'll be doing, if he'll be working with big men, if he's going to be, what exactly his role on that coaching staff is going to be. But he is back in the fold. He is back in the organization he spent 20 seasons with, 15-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA, an All-Rookie, 3 times Final MVP, Rookie of the Year, 5-time NBA champ. I mean, the accolades go on and on and on for Tim Duncan. His role with the San Antonio Spurs, what he means to that organization and that community is unparalleled, even to David Robinson or Sean Elliott or George Irving. Tim Duncan is synonymous now with San Antonio sports, the big fundamental, 97 to 2016 was his career. Played in over 1,300 games. Started almost all but 3 games he ever played in. Career 50% from the field. Wasn't a 3-point shooter. He was the big fundamental. Free throw about 70%. 3 assists a game. About a steal a game. Couple blocks per game. I mean, just a great career. I'm glad. I like it when guys like this come back and either become the sportscasters or get back involved because they have something that nobody else can partake on to the younger guys, and that's the experience of being there and doing it. That's the experience of being there and doing it on the highest level. I was a star. I'm an all-time great. I want to be here to help you get better. And nothing feels better as an athlete than those that have been there and doing it. Being people. Being able to come back and not go, I'm above you because I'm a great. But I'm one of you, and I happen to be great. So I love the fact Tim Duncan's coming back. I can't wait to see how it works out with him and Pop on the bench and what they decide to do with that moving forward. Moving forward, we now know Troy Tulowitzki, one of the greatest what could have been athletes in the last couple decades at least, as he decides to retire this week from baseball. This was a guy, he could have been an all-star every year. He had the power, he had the fielding, he had the speed. He was a true five-tool player in the baseball world as far as being able to play multiple positions, steal bases, hit for power, hit for average, gold glove caliber guy, quality defense. But when it came right down to it for Troy Tulowitzki, his legs just did not cooperate. His muscles and tendons could not function on the level that his mind and the rest of his body wanted to work on. And he continued to have leg injuries. He continued to not have seasons where he could play more than even 140 games in a season. I think he only reached 140 games maybe once or twice in his career. Normally it was between about 80 to 120 games. And really it just left everybody going, wow, look at all this talent. Look at what he could be. To, wow, is he going to be healthy? Oh, he's hurt again. Oh, what a shock. He's on the DL. And it's highly unfortunate because you could see the talent was there. You could see the mental ability, the love for the game, the passion, the hustle, the drive, all there. The want to. Didn't get paid and the production fell off. The only thing that kept Troy Tulowitzki from having a longer career, better career with better numbers, and possibly even becoming a Hall of Famer was the injuries. And that when I heard his retirement, the first thing I didn't think about was his years in Toronto, his years in Colorado, his year with the Yankees. I thought, man, he's just like, and I came up with a list of names of guys that who knows what would have happened if it wouldn't have been for injury or something else. Len Bias. Michael Jordan might not be synonymous with NBA basketball if Len Bias doesn't do coke and die. Because Len Bias was a beast. He was dominant. He was getting ready to take the NBA by storm. And it could have changed the landscape of everything we now know if he didn't die. But that one was more, personal choice, drug related. So I started thinking, okay, what other players were hampered by injury? And the first one that comes to my head is Bo Jackson. If Bo Jackson does not get his hip broken against Cincinnati running up that left sideline or right sideline, and his leg doesn't get stuck in the turf and snap his hip off in the socket, who knows what kind of career he would have been able to put together if he stayed healthy past that point. And we all know he left football behind. He tried to come back and played baseball. Kind of successful with the White Sox. They were in that period of, okay, let's give Bo a try. Let's give Michael Jordan a try. Let's give these guys a try to get some buzz going. We've got Frank Thomas, and they were building a little something there in Chicago at the time. But Bo was dominant in both sports. If he doesn't get hurt, maybe he doesn't play both for very long. Maybe he steps away from football anyway. But with as good, as big, as strong, and as fast as he was, it would have been great to see him never get hurt. Amazing to never see him get hurt. This next guy I thought of, he still has great numbers. But if he doesn't go to get to Cincinnati and his legs don't fall apart, who knows where Ken Griffey Jr.'s numbers would have been. We might not have a problem with Barry Bonds. We might not have a problem with Alex Rodriguez. Because Griffey could legitimately have all of those records by himself if he didn't miss so much time after going to Cincinnati. And his legs, just like Troy Tulowitzki, his legs gave out. His hamstrings, his quads, his knees started having all of these injuries that cost him a lot of time, cost him a lot of numbers. And who knows if he would have been able to bring something to Cincinnati if he stays healthy. Other guys show up. Maybe they get another big red machine. Maybe they get a couple titles there in Cincinnati. Maybe it flips the power dynamic in the National League in the time he was there instead of nothing happening because he kind of just faded away as one of those top flight players. Then I thought of Grant Hill and the ankle injuries. And how he came back, but he was never quite as explosive, never quite got back to what everybody expected. If he's able to not have those series of ankle injuries, if he stays in Detroit, even if in his time in Orlando, let's say he ends up going there anyway as a free agent, sans ankle injury, we might be talking him a little bit more like we talk about a Tracy McGrady. He was that quality of a player when he was healthy. He could shoot like a Rip Hamilton. He had the skills of a Clyde Drexler. Penny Hardaway is who that led me to after that. Penny Hardaway was one of the first 6'7" point guards in the NBA. Yes, there were some before him, but it was a very small group. Point guards did not start getting big until the late 90s, early 2000s. Before that, it was very rare to have your point guard be that tall. And Penny Hardaway had point guard skills in a small forward height body. He was slender. He had the passing ability. He had explosiveness. He could shoot from outside. And at the time he got hurt with his knees and what was going on there in Orlando with Shaq, if Shaq doesn't go away and Penny stays healthy, that Magic team would have gone on to win multiple titles. That Magic team would have made it real hard for the Bulls' second three-peat to ever have happened. But Shaq goes to L.A., Anthony Hardaway gets hurt, never quite becomes the same player again, plays a couple more seasons, and then kind of disappears. But what could have been? Sterling Sharp, Terrell Davis. Short careers, dominant and amazing while they were on the field. Sterling Sharp, maybe he stays healthy, doesn't have the neck issues. Maybe he rivals Jerry Rice at some point. Maybe his numbers are up there with Chris Carter and Terrell Owens and Randy Moss. And we think of him as a top 5 all-time player at the position. Instead of half the time people forgetting his name when they're talking about that. Terrell Davis, we have no idea what Terrell Davis would have eventually finished out as. He has become a Hall of Famer, and he should be. His production in the postseason is unmatched. He's one of only 7 or 8 players in NFL history to reach 2,000 yards. And at the time he did it, I think he was only the 4th or 5th guy, I believe, to do it at the time. But the knee gave out. Microfracture surgery wasn't working. Never was able really to come back. Decided to call it a career. Similar thing with Brandon Roy on the NBA for the Portland Trail Blazers. Guy could play defense. Guy had a solid offense. Was smart. Floor general. Knees gave out. Tried to fight through it. And ultimately now he's coaching the top high school program in all of the country. So for all of these guys, I mean, it worked out ultimately. Hardaway, he's coaching now. Sterling Sharp went on to be successful in his own right. Terrell Davis is a Hall of Famer, working for the NFL Network. Grant Hill, we know, is on TV. Ken Griffey Jr. has kind of stepped away, and he's working in his own world with his charities and his kids' athletic careers now. And Bo Jackson has his health foods and different things that he does now as well. But just from strictly a sports side, what could have been if these players it's a great debate. It's one we could have just done a series of shows on. But got me thinking this week with the retirement of Troy Tulowitzki. What could have been? And I'm sure you guys can come up with a lot more as well. All right, couple more stories that came out just before we came on the air today. AJ Green, it's been announced he will be out 6 to 8 weeks with torn ligaments in his foot. He went down in the first practice the other day, was carted off the field with a foot injury. We now know he's out 6 to 8 weeks, so that's looking like he might be back sometime end of September, beginning of October. So that's definitely not going to help a Cincinnati team that in my rankings so far has not been one of the better teams to lose one of your better players. And then this week also another receiver in the news, Golden Tate being banned for the first 4 games of the regular season. That's really hurting there for the Giants as Sterling Shepard hurt his thumb, Coleman tore an ACL. Now you've got Tate down. They bring in a TJ Jones, who is an outcast from Detroit, never really found his place there. But Tate is out for a ban for fertility drugs. This is what he's saying. This is what's being reported. Him and his wife were trying to have a baby back in March or April. He was on this fertility treatment. He did not know it had a banned substance in it. He took a test the day after taking this fertility treatment and was flagged for it then. He came forward then. He said, I've taken this. I didn't know it was going to, pop this test. And from what he's saying, the league, his representation, the team, everybody knew about it the day it happened. He's been honest and forefront since it happened. We'll see if that 4-game suspension comes down based on what the NFL decides. I do believe he's appealing the 4-game ban. If it all plays out that that's right, that he took a substance for fertility treatment and the timeline matches with when the test was, the half-life of how long that treatment stays in your body matches up to when that test was, and all those percentages and all that math works out, I could see his 4-game ban getting reduced to 1 or 2 games based on it being for a fertility thing so him and his wife could have a child. And he instantly, the day of, reported the mishap, was upfront and honest. It doesn't seem like he was trying to cheat anything, but let's be real. All of these guys at some point get word of something that might give them a little edge, and they can be told, just say you and your wife are having a baby. She can go in and have a fertility treatment. It won't do anything to her. You'll get this little edge. So we'll have to see how it plays out. That's all I got for you today. That's real. Until next time, you know how we do. Just be real.